one half of the plot of Ball of Fire really drew me in, and the other half made me think, well, this may not actually be my kind of film. And I have to say, I actually really thoroughly enjoyed it. This was released in 1941, directed by Howard Hawks, written by Billy Wilder and Charles Brackett, and it stars Gary Cooper and Barbara Stanwyck. And I have to say, Stanwyck is one of the reasons why I initially discovered this film. And then I read the description, and the first half of this description is, a group of professors working on a new encyclopedia, you have my full attention. That sounds like my kind of film. The second half, not so much. Encounter a mouthy nightclub singer who is wanted by the police to help bring down her mob boss lover. I never really got bothered about films about mobs and gangs and gangsters and things. It's just not my kind of thing. So I wasn't really sure how this would go. But I can confirm that the majority of the film, which is, I won't give any actual spoilers, don't worry, but the majority of the film, it's about 2 hours, and most of it is actually set in the offices of these professors where they're working. The mob aspect doesn't really feature too heavily. It picks up a bit as the narrative goes on, but actually it's not so in your face that if you are like me and it's not your favourite kind of subgenre, then it's not actually going to detract from how good this is. I have to say that this was nominated for 4 Oscars. It's got 7.8 out of 10 on IMDb, and I completely understand why it's really well loved. The Oscars were Best Actress, Best Writing, Best Sound, and Best Music. It didn't win any, but, you know, it doesn't detract from how great this film is. I think the reason this works is because Sugarpuss O'Shea, played by Stanwyck, is very likeable. Ordinarily, she wouldn't be my kind of character, but she is brilliant. And Professor Potts, Bertram Potts, played by Gary Cooper, discovers her one night when he is out looking. He is trying to educate himself on, I guess, on the vernacular, because obviously he's very learned and he speaks properly. But, you know, for the most part, that's not the everyday language of the everyman. So he's out and about trying to discover all of these, you know, idioms and abbreviations and things like that. And he discovers Sugarpuss O'Shea, who uses a lot of them, and he asks her for her help, basically to help teach him. And that's what a lot of the film is about. That sounds a lot more dull than it actually is. I haven't explained that very well. It's kind of like a slightly opposite version of Pygmalion, or My Fair Lady, where instead of teaching Eliza Doolittle to speak properly, Sugarpuss is teaching Bertram about, you know, slang and what the different words mean. And I'll be honest, a lot of these words and phrases I hadn't even heard of. I don't know if because they just stopped being relevant after the 40s, or if because they're American, I don't know, but I definitely wasn't very familiar with a lot of them. But it's really interesting. I love Sugarpuss as a character. She's really, you know, she's full of life. She's got amazing costumes. She's got a really great personality. Brilliantly performed by Stanwyck. Really great fun to watch. Gary Cooper as Bertram Potts is brilliant. I really love him. All of the professors are great. I particularly love Professor Magenbruch, or Magenbruch. I'm not entirely sure how we're pronouncing that. I don't know if his name was ever mentioned in the film, but he's played by Sakall, who has done so many films that, you know, you'll definitely recognise his work. He was in Lullaby of Broadway and Tea for Two, both of Doris Day, Daughter of Rosie O'Grady, which Debbie Reynolds is in. Particularly pleased to see him in this really, really fun, engaging, entertaining film. An hour and 50 minutes, it did feel like a bit too long. I feel like the last half an hour dragged a little bit, but not enough that I lost complete interest. I just felt like, you know, they could have removed this bit, sped this up a little bit, and it still would have been entertaining. It wouldn't have lost its meaning. Everything still would have flowed quite nicely. But in spite of that, it's still a lot of fun and really brilliant. So I wasn't sure if it would be for me, but it is. I also have to say, if the sound of professors working on an encyclopedia sounds quite dry and stuffy to you, it isn't. It really isn't. That's at the forefront, but it's not like we're just watching them write an encyclopedia. It's it's at the forefront, but also in the background at the same time. It's quite peculiar. Very well done. It's funny, it's engaging. If you haven't seen it, I thoroughly recommend it to anybody. I honestly think Ball of Fire is one you will truly enjoy.